So now we're going to talk about an area of hacking that has gotten a lot of attention over the last several years. And you might remember a hacker by the name of Kevin Mitnick, who was recently released from prison and has since started his own security consulting firm. And basically what Kevin was extremely good at had nothing to do with his computer skills. As a matter of fact, he really wasn't all that great on a computer. What he was exceptionally good at is manipulating people. He was able to call various people and get them to do things for him that were outrageous, such as give him critical information about companies, give him usernames and passwords, access codes to phones and PBX systems, all these different things that normally you would never do. So he was using a technique called social engineering, and it's simply defined as the art of manipulating people to get information or persuade them to do things. And you'd be very surprised how easy this is, especially in a larger organization. Now, social engineering can take place in several different forms. We can do so in person, we can do it over the phone, via email, through chat, or in some cases, even web interfaces. But that's a little bit more rare. It's an extremely low-tech method of hacking a system, but what you'll find is it's often the most effective method. Now, I will also mention this. In most scenarios, companies will hire you to do either technical penetration testing or social engineering tests. In very rare occasions have I ever been employed to do both or to use all possible venues at my will. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you a brief story about a scenario where a CIO of a major financial organization brought me in to gain access to his systems. And basically his words were, use whatever methods are available that hackers would use, but don't bring my systems down. So he requested that I call him via cell phone whenever I was complete with those tasks. So I walked in through the front door, requested that the secretary let me see someone, and basically told them that I was late to a meeting, I wasn't able to get a hold of that person. She sent me through. I walked straight past the desk, back to the server room. The server room was actually protected by a swipe card and a PIN number. Well, I simply waited for someone to come back out of the server room, and when they did, I walked in right behind them. Needless to say, I was able to find a console in the server room that had the domain admin account logged in to one of the domain controllers of the system. So within 5 minutes, I was able to get full domain admin privileges to the entire company network. So, as you can probably imagine, that particular executive was not very happy. Most of the time, we're going to utilize and reserve social engineering for user ID information, server address information, or any type of technical reconnaissance that we might need to do in order to elevate the likelihood of gaining access. Now, in addition to gaining information, we can also get people to perform actions such as let us into a door, allow us physical access even though we're unauthorized, or potentially coerce them into resetting a password or maybe handing over a particular key code that we can use to gain access to something. So it's a very effective method. Now, a couple of examples of this would be posing as an important person or user and using pressure to get information. There's definitely a technique here that I like, and that is going up to a particular person of relatively low rank in a company and telling them that the CEO or the CFO has mandated that I must be able to do this immediately, and anyone that doesn't want to comply with that is going to have to deal with that person. So as you can imagine, someone coming to you and saying, if you don't do this for me, your senior executive officials are going to come down on you and you'll probably get fired. Most people buckle under that pressure and do whatever you ask. So it's definitely an effective method. Posing as technical support or help desk. A great example of this is something I've seen in the past. One of my colleagues used a technique where the support system was basically an email server. And it sent out emails across the wire to the help desk and to other support personnel. So when user A would send in a request for help or an issue was being had by that user, then this person was able to intercept that support email and call the user, posing as the help desk, and even be able to recite the help request identification number to assure the user that it was actually the help desk calling them. So there's not really an effective way to protect against this unless you have better authentication mechanisms in place, such as usernames and passwords associated to these various things and even encrypted emails. Pretending to be authorized by a third party. A great point of this is coming in, letting them know that you're the plumber and that someone's called in requesting service. They're going to escort you to the bathroom and probably leave you unattended for a significant amount of time, allowing you to actually walk around the building freely and look at any information that you need. And finally, we're going to cover 2 additional forms of social engineering that are a little bit less popular but are still effective. The first of which is dumpster diving. Basically means we go out of our way to go dig through the trash of certain companies or users to try to find information that is sensitive and without having to hack. So as you can imagine, this is a pretty effective method as well. Most companies should have a proper disposal policy set up. Shoulder surfing, or watching over the shoulder of someone logging into a system or accessing confidential information, is another very effective method, especially in internet cafes where there's not a lot of security. So as you can see, there are a lot of different options available to us for penetrating or gaining access to a system.